Hello once again, folks. This is another awesome episode of Customizing the Clone Wars. This is episode number 14, and I am your host, as always, Peak Obi-Wan. Along with me, my co-host, Darth Daddy. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing okay. Really happy to be here, especially to be discussing the final episode of the season, Hostage Crisis. I can't believe we're at the end of season 1 already.
I know, right? Man, we blazed through it.
Yeah,
In 14 episodes, folks, we blazed through it. It's awesome. This is totally cool. Yeah, this is episode number 22 in the season 1 of the Clone Wars. It's called Hostage Crisis, and it's a very exciting episode, don't you think?
Oh yeah, this is you get to bring back Zero, one of my favorite villains. You got introduction of Cad Bane, who ends up being one of the cooler bounty hunters, specifically introduced in this show.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, we'll get to him here shortly, but before we do, I'm going to read the blurb from our episode guide once again. And it says, Anakin sneaks into the Senate building on Coruscant to meet Padme. To prove his trust in her, he hands her his lightsaber. Meanwhile, in a surprise attack, Cad Bane and his associates seal the Senate building and take several senators, including Padme, hostage. Can Anakin free the hostages without his weapon? Oh boy. Yeah, so let's jump into it. You like fortune cookies?
Oh, I love fortune cookies.
Awesome.
Especially Clone Wars fortune cookies.
For sure. Let's check one out, shall we? All right. So here we have the fortune cookie, and it says, a secret shared is a trust formed. And I'm assuming that's talking about Padme and Anakin, right? I'm guessing it's really about them, or what do you take from that fortune cookie?
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, it's not. I don't think it like correlates perfectly for the situation, but that's really the only thing I could see that's even relevant to, you know, as far as in the story, relevant to that fortune cookie. Because that it's an old secret. I don't know why, you know, I guess you'd think a fortune cookie like that would come with there's a new secret presented, but I'm only seeing, you know, one that has been going since episode 2. So
yeah, it's funny in this episode how they kind of put it back on Anakin, and it's not really about him. It's kind of an intro into season 2, which talks about bounty hunters, basically. This is actually our first chance to get to see effective bounty hunters. So Dave Filoni says on StarWars.com, and folks, you can actually still go to StarWars.com and go to the Clone Wars area or the portion of the site, and they have all of the info, everything they need, or everything you need to you know, kind of navigate your way through the show. What we do here on this show is we share our personal perspectives and we share our custom action figures. So we will be getting into that here in a moment. But what you're seeing here is the group of bounty hunters. They're heading for the Senate building. And here are a few of them. And there's Cad Bane driving that luxury yacht. I'm assuming that's what those things are called. He sure has a lot of money, don't you think, Cad Bane?
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because he has all these gadgets, he has all these assassin droids and everything, and here they are approaching the Senate building, and here we have our Senate commandos once again, and I guess they're the security of the building. So it's kind of like Bespin, you know what I'm saying, where they're like, you got to have a landing permit to land in a specific area, and they're just crashing the whole place, and they're like, if you land here, we're going to arrest you, basically. So
Yeah,
who's
I
this?
actually
This
made a
is Cad
custom of
Bane.
one of
No,
these.
it's not. It's Lee Van Cleef. This is what Cad Bane was basically. This is the person that Cad Bane was actually based on. Lee Van Cleef was he was kind of a Western star. He played the villain against Clint Eastwood a lot of times in old westerns. He was the bane of Clint Eastwood's character, and hence the name. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh yeah.
definitely has a cool hat. You know, very reminiscent of Bane. So no, there's Bane. There's Bane actually. So, so here we have Bane, and he is based on a Duros actually, which is so cool, don't you think?
Oh yeah. That's one of my favorite Star Wars aliens is the Doros. So I
Man,
thought it
I'll
was
tell
pretty
you, mine
cool.
too. Mine too. You know, I was drawn to this character immediately when they pulled him in because those Duros characters are just amazing. I wonder if they think today with Disney. I wonder if they think that those were just a bunch of rubber masks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm hoping that they eventually start. It seems like with Rogue One, they're starting to reintroduce some of the early aliens.
I hope so too. I hope so too.
It's
Yeah,
looking like it might happen.
yeah. Let's hope. We saw a Death Star droid in there, didn't we?
Yeah.
In that sizzle reel, and we saw some Mon Calamari, but of course we saw Akbar in the Force Awakens. But here's hoping for some Duros, right? So this is going to go into my first custom, and I was just sharing this a second ago. This was a Cad Bane I did. This is the original Cad Bane that they made, and what I did is I just gave him a little bit better paint job, and I gave him a little bit more articulation in the lower legs. I used what was the smallest ball joint at the time that we could get? Wasn't it Luminara? I think it was Luminara.
Yeah, Luminara and Dooley had some really small ones. Those Cad Bane Humbos are really good a lot of the time too.
I cut off Luminara's legs, or yeah, I think they were her legs to make these legs, and just gave him a little bit better paint job. You know, wanted to, but I did that ages ago. This was prior to them making that really nice one. You know, I just looked at that and I was like, man, they outdid me. You know, so
Man, I remember when
what's that?
I remember like one of my first customs was one of those Senate Commandos. I ended up taking the Argus and I repainted it to try and just like army build and make it look a little more closer to what you know was like this is the Argus figure here, and I just went and I repainted them and gave them almost like a let's see, a Tom Selleck look, if
He
you will.
definitely
Like I
looks like
painted a little
Tom Selleck.
mustache on him, and then
Yeah.
blackened his hair, just the army build. I think it was one of the first posts I ever did on my blog, but
Yeah.
yeah, he was one of my earliest customs. I totally forgot I did that. To be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah. He looked like he could tear some people up, right?
Yeah.
Jump in a Ferrari, like a space Ferrari, and then
Oh
just
yeah.
take some
Chase him
people
down.
out, right?
Yep.
So check this out. This is, I guess you would call this an Easter egg for the Phantom Menace, but look who's over there in that corner. You see her for about 2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And this is actually somebody that Bane has hired, and her name is Aura Singh. We sure got a great figure of her, didn't we?
Yeah, she actually got a really big fan response, even though she was barely in the movie.
Right.
They started putting comics out about her, and then it was kind of nice to see her in Clone Wars, and it was cool too because she was voiced by Jamie King. Kyle Newman, the director of Fanboys, his wife actually voiced the character of Aura Singh in Clone Wars.
Yeah. And she only has one line in this episode, but we definitely see her again, and she plays a pretty prominent role in the Clone Wars. That's another thing that's so cool about Dave Filoni, that he brings these characters in, he makes them, he adds more life to them, right?
I think she was one of the scariest villains that they introduced to Clone Wars. She had no conscience whatsoever, where, you know, some of the other villains, they at least had some shred of humanity to them. But Aura Singh, she was cold-hearted as they come.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So here we have some of his other troop, and we got these droids eventually as well in a really awesome pack. You know, I was amazed by this awesome pack, and you were talking about on a previous episode where, you know, Hasbro really took the time to focus on some of the episodes, making almost everything in the episode. So I actually, back when I did that Cad Bane, I actually painted one myself. So, like I said, with the blue background, if you follow my customs, you're looking at a custom from probably like 2010 or something like that. It's quite a while ago, but this was a repaint of the one that they actually produced for us. But I was actually glad we got that pack, you know, because it had two of the droids in it, and then it had Shahan Oma and Robo Nino, right?
Yeah, that was a great pack. I mean, I probably would have never been able to make a pirate gang if we never got that Shahan Alama figure. So to me, just getting that one figure from that pack made that pack worthwhile, because I couldn't have had a Hondo gang without it.
Yeah, and it was hard to get at first, you know. And here's Shahan Oma here. And then he, like I said, he's very effective. So he has all of his assassins and his commandos. He had some of the most expensive, rarest droids on his team. You know, I mean, this guy, not only is he an effective bounty hunter, I believe Cad Bane's or Dave Filoni said that he wanted him to be as effective as if he were watching Boba Fett in action. You know, since we didn't get to see Boba Fett, because this is really Cad Bane's time, you know, not really. This was the rise of Boba Fett, really, not so much his era, right?
Yeah, Boba Fett was like a teenager at this point, and, you know, maybe like probably even a young teenager. He was probably maybe about Ahsoka's age, I would say.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got to learn a lot about his upbringing as a bounty hunter, and, you know, who he got his training from, who he worked with in the Clone Wars, which was really interesting. I thought it was, you know, it was nice to see a little bit of his backstory shown in this TV series.
Yeah, and so here are some of his gang. Like I was saying, those two droids in the back, those are IG-86 assassin droids again. And man, wouldn't it have been cool if we had those? I took the time to repaint a couple of them myself because I just thought they were so darn cool, you know. So before I show you those, let's get to Anakin and Padme. Check out this picture. I screen capped Anakin rolling his eyes. It's hilarious.
He was I've kind of felt like he was a bit of a whiner in this, and he was like, I mean, Padme's trying to get her work done. She has a job, you know. It's not like she's calling him out in the middle of battle, like, you need to come home and spend time with me. And like, he was kind of a whiner. He was kind of needy.
Not only that, he was being manipulative. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, big time. Very much.
Big time. He's like, let's go away together. He's like, I'm gonna get you fired, man. Let's just.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk.
So he convinces her that he needs her to go away, and he's like, your love's more important to me than anything else. So he gives her his lightsaber because he goes through the whole scenario that his weapon is his whole life kind of thing, and he hands it over to her, and there's this nice romantic kiss and everything, and you know, sealing the deal that you know, their relationship's not necessarily functioning at a good level. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Oh,
yeah, I mean, this
so
show really did like give us an insider's view to see how, you know, their relationship wasn't a healthy one, and there was a lot of situations throughout the show that kind of showed that, you know, it definitely had room for improvement.
yeah, right. There were so many obstacles that they had to jump through, so many hoops and whatnot that caused them a lot of problems. So meanwhile, when they're having this little talk and he's trying to convince her to go away, um, our team of bounty hunters and effective assassins, they go into the Senate building because the Senate commandos were no match for them or anything. So they sneak into the building, and the first place they go is the power center, or like, you know, like the IT room. And it's funny that, you know, they have droids as their IT technicians, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so let's first talk about, if you have it available, Elias, the kid of Custom for the Kid. He made a really awesome R5 unit, or what is the number of this droid that I have up? I have an image of this R5 unit. I call them R5s, but what was his name different in this one? This blue droid.
Yeah. His name is R5S9. And like you said, my 12-year-old made him not too long ago. I would say only like maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. And all he did was, I forget the name of Plo Koon's droid. It was the Build-A-Droid Clone Wars version of Plo Koon's droid. It was a maroon droid with a gray head. And essentially he used that for the torso.
Yeah.
And for the head, he ended up using, I think it was the R5D4 Build-A-Droid. And I think he sanded that bottom layer so there wasn't like a too thick ridge along the bottom part of that droid's head. And he took a clear plastic tubing and he glued that to the top of, I guess, what would be the torso for the droid. And then there's a pin that's on the inside of that R5D4, and that pin fit really nicely right into um, the droid itself. I thought he had a picture of it, and I don't think he did. But the nice thing is this has the panels, and he was able to paint it and keep the panels so they were still functioning. I would recommend, if anyone ever wants to try this, those panels on the front of that droid there that I'm pointing to with the cursor, they're like a harder PVC plastic. And what I would recommend is just lightly sanding those with some sandpaper or like a file of some kind, just to like scruff up the surface a bit before you paint it, because that PVC paint doesn't stick to it quite as well. And when those doors open and close, you could end up with some chipping that you're not going to want. So I do recommend sanding those. And as you can see, both those panels are still functioning. And I think he took a picture of it on its back because at some point that droid does end up on its back. But yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
they knock it down, don't they?
oh yeah, they do. They do. Uh, so I think that droid's over here, and let me. We've been trying to do some things with the droids. Like we were saying, we're gonna try and take pictures of work in progress stuff. But
Sure.
if you see, I'm like really shaking this droid up and down, and that head doesn't come off. But see that little clear piece of plastic he put there? It was
Yes.
just perfect. You know, it fits right in, and like I said, it really holds. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I did a similar thing where I put an additional piece on there and glued it in so that the head could kind of clip in there. Because if you notice on the neck, I noticed you cut a little bit off the neck there. Am I right?
Yeah, what he did, let me see. He just sanded this edge right along here because I think if you look, the actual R5D4, it has 2 layers to this lip, and on Clone Wars there's only 1 layer. So he sanded that first layer away and just maintained just one of the lip and not 2.
Right. Well, that's really awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And he did a really great job. How old was he again?
12.
12 now. 12.
But he's been customizing for 6 years. 6 years of experience painting. Now he's doing like 100% sculpted figures. So he's been at it for a long time. I think you do something every weekend for 6 years. No matter what your age, you're gonna eventually get to a point where you're competent with what you're doing. Practice makes perfect.
We spend so much time working on this stuff that you're only going to get better as you go along, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I just think the more time you spend on this stuff, the better you're going to get. And I'll go back to what we were talking about. How far did you get? Were you talking about Anakin hiding under the desk?
I did. Yeah, I did talk about Anakin hiding under the desk, and I also mentioned that Padme was taken captive by Cad Bane, and at the time that she was taken captive, she actually had Anakin's lightsaber on her. So Anakin was in the building, but he was unarmed, and that's pretty much all I got to.
Very good. So I'll just jump back to where we were in the IT room. And we also have this blue droid. And we would like to take this time to give our buddy Wraith9 a shout out. He actually made this droid. That guy makes so many robots. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. He's great at it, too. I mean, he actually sent me a bunch of protocol droids that he painted up, and they weren't specific to the Clone Wars. They were more like, I guess, would be considered fan fiction. But I do have several droids that were made by Jay.
Yeah, I want to definitely get around to making this blue. I'm calling it the Senate droid. Senate droid, I guess. I'm sure it has some kind of name or designation number. But I can't get that at this time. And this is Jay's image, Wraith9 over in the UK. And look at what's in the background there real quick. Do you see something that looks like?
Yeah, it's actually a droid that I own. That must have been when he was first working on it. But I do actually own that droid now. It's Zero's droid. The interesting thing is that droid was just recently announced as being released at, was that San Diego Comic-Con that they announced it?
That's right. They did an Entertainment Earth exclusive droid set of 6 droids. Do you have an image of that by chance?
I believe I do. Let me take a peek and see if I could pull that up. Let's see. Okay. Are you guys seeing it up on screen right now?
Definitely seeing it, yeah.
All right, cool. So I was pretty amazed to find out. I think, originally when they announced this 6-pack, they were, it said super articulated figures, that spans the entire saga. And I think originally a lot of collectors were really excited, like finally, like Hasbro's paying attention to us. They're giving us something they want. And when I was looking through people's comments, a lot of them had said, oh, I hope it's Jabba's skiff guards or it's some of the last Cantina, patrons that we never got. And I did see some frustration from people when they found out it was all Astromechs. And I do understand that frustration. But at the same time, I was actually excited about this pack because I got more Clone Wars figures. And I didn't really feel like I was ever going to get any more Clone Wars characters. And I like the selection that they provided, so I was pretty excited about it.
Yeah, there's Plo Koon's droid right there at the top.
Yep.
But how many cool figures were in there? Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. It's a bit pricey for me. I can understand people's frustration about that pack. You're going to be paying $80, which is like 13 and change for each droid. you know, and they're essentially repack, repaint, right? So I understand people's frustration on it, but definitely looking forward to more Clone Wars type custom figures, or not custom figures, but unique paint jobs from the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved to have any of those figures at any other point in time. So, you know, to get them all at once, I'm as stoked as you can get about that. That's you know, anything that's gonna give me some figures that pretty much, I think 5 out of those 6 figures are figures I would have wanted. The 2 original trilogy figures, those are ones that I was planning on customizing. Now I don't have to. It's a win-win in my book.
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely going to pick it up. I feel like even though you've seen a lot of my customs, and you know that there's at least 2 in there that I've done, and recently, right? But I'm still excited for it. You know, it uses a really nice, it uses a nice vintage R2. At least this time, they're all the same figure, I suppose. They're the same R2 unit, where some of the EEE exclusives in the past, they were different astromechs, different types of droids. You know, at least they're remaining consistent in the figure that they're using. So.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool. It has that front panel where the little arm comes out, so it's at least there's a little something going on there too, which I think is fun.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think of this droid that I have up here? This is, I'm just calling this one the Assassin. Like I said, he has 3 IG-86 Assassin droids with him. So I'm calling this one the Assassin. And this is the one that gets in a tussle with Anakin, but he blows everybody away in the IT department. The poor IT department's gone down, right? The whole power
Man, I
department.
thought it was crazy. Like, you see Anakin, he was like throwing punches at metal. It's like punching the thing, like, you know, trying to take it out. But man, he must have had some bloody knuckles by the end of that brawl.
Yeah. Thankfully, he's wearing gloves, or at least on one. I mean, you'd think he used that metal hand more often to take advantage.
Yeah, he was smart. He did.
Yeah, right. Take advantage of people with metal hand right now, right? So here is, I'm just simply calling him the Assassin. Really great droid, and you know that Shahan Alma we were talking about earlier. He actually came with that rifle that he's holding in the hand there, and it was very rubbery. And I'm assuming it was because, you know, when Anakin gets into the fight with him, that you know, he bends it up, you know, and we'll get to that picture here in a moment. I'm just sharing a bunch of photos. There they are in the IT department again. The devastation in the IT department, you know, and I got 327T there. You've seen him in a previous episode.
Oh, yeah. They look great. Yeah, so we saw that rabbit droid in there. If anybody wants to see a cool custom of the rabbit droid, check out our Vindy episode.
Yeah.
And we did a shout out in our episode in the Vindy for a rabbit droid that was made by I Am Boba Fett.
Yep, he's a great customizer too. All right, so Padme gets an interruption from Mr. Bail Organa, and she decides to take off with him for some kind of political meeting that they're having in the main Senate arena or whatever.
Yeah, it had to do with the privacy invasion bill.
Yeah, and she makes a joke, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Privacy invasion bill.
And that was another example of George Lucas mirroring what was going on in our own society, where we had people, you know, in the United States getting their emails read, their phone calls listened to, their web browser history being recorded, and we were going through a bit of a privacy invasion of our own at that time. So that was a little example of George Lucas mirroring, you know, our own society in, you know, fiction.
Yeah, and here's a picture of that you were talking about, how aggressive and violent, you know, Aura Singh was, and she just blows the dude away, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, and that's not the only time we see her do that. She did that in that episode later on. when she took some clone hostages, and
Yeah.
yeah, she was pretty cold. Yeah, she killed a lot of people execution style.
Yeah. Yeah. So here we have Cad Bane and his other, I affectionately call this one Bane's Assassin. And remember that 2-pack we got? It was just basically a repack. We just got an IG-86 Assassin, and we got the Cad Bane again, and it was put on a 2-pack. And at first I was like, man, why can't they just take the time to do a repaint at least on the Assassin, or make the Cad Bane a little bit different? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what they did release one of his assassin droids at some point later, though. Well, actually, it was one of Zero's because it had the Zero symbol on it. But
Yeah, it was Zero's Assassin. I'll have a custom a little bit later in the episode that models or kind of mirrors that look. But this basically kind of fueled my argument a little bit. Just it would have looked so much cooler if they took the time to make it at least a little bit different. And this is the one that I was referring to. You'll see him soon. This was my version of that 2-pack. I took that 2-pack and I was like, I'm going to make it just a little bit better. I guess that's what I did at the time. Way back.
oh yeah, you definitely made it better.
Yeah, I took the time to customize the figure, and always those little details, right?
Now, is that the same gun that we were talking about before, or is that a?
No, what this is a different gun. This is from
I'm thinking a Sand Trooper, right?
a Tusken Raider gun.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. Yep.
I just decided to make it a little bit different. Give them a little bit more variety. I could have used one of those other guns, but I don't have a lot of those. That rifle.
Yeah.
They only.
No, they were hard to come by.
Yeah, they were hard to come by. One of the great things about that rifle, that longer rifle, was that, like I said, the one that came with Shahan Alma, it was very rubbery. And I'm assuming they did that so you could, reenact that bending of the gun.
Oh yeah.
When Anakin gets in the fight. But actually, Cato Parasiti, one of the greatest toys I think they've ever created, was it came with a little bit harder plastic version of that same gun. So let's move on. Let's keep it moving here. And here we are with the Senate people. And look at all those senators. It's funny how many senators are up in there that I can name off the top of my head. You know what I'm saying? Compared to
I think it's pretty cool that you see that a Reese can come have a purple skin tone.
Yeah, the grand species.
Yeah.
Grand species, yeah. And this guy actually gets blown away, unfortunately, because he just starts back talking Cad Bane. And look at Padme. She's like, let's take him. I have this lightsaber. We should just take him, right? And there's Aunt Far again, and we see Chuchi back there, but she's actually missing her little poncho or whatever.
Some kind of throw that she wore when she was in Trespass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's one of those Christophsis guys, one of those Oompa Loompa dudes. Only he doesn't have the little hat on or whatever. So check this image out. This is a character that you made as a custom, and this is Chancellor Palpatine. And look at this image. Do you think he knew that this was going on, or do you think he was surprised?
I think he was surprised on this one. I think this was one of those situations where things got away from him, got out of hand, and he was like, crap, now I got to deal with this.
Yeah. I gotta put up with this this stuff going on. I wonder how many times he ran into situations that were beyond his control. I know in the end when he starts to feel his previous apprentice, that he has to go take care of it. But I think that's through the Force. But whenever it's a situation where somebody comes in and just wrecks his whole day. I agree. I don't think he knew about this one. So
Yeah.
So we will move it on here. So Orn Free Ta basically comes in and is like, we got a problem. We got a problem. They're closing off the Senate building, and these assassins are shutting us down. So he's like, we'll figure out what's going on. So he's contacting everybody in the building, and then the power goes out basically. So, and here you see Robo Nino. He's kind of he's their IT guy, or he's their hacker, you know?
Yeah.
Robo Nino's he's a fish guy. What's he called? What is his species called? It was something.
Petrolean or
Petrolean. Yeah, Petrolean. Yeah. I thought he was just so great. You know, really cool character. Really neat.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Neat looking toy. Neat looking toy too. They did a really great job. Yeah.
I liked him a lot. He was one of the better toys that were put out. I mean, honestly, those Clone Wars toys, they were really cool. I mean, some of the characters and the action figures that we got from that line were some of the most exciting action figures we had ever gotten.
Right. In today's day and age, we're just like complaining, and they're like, why are you complaining? We're like, well, look how awesome those figures were, and now you're giving us these statues.
Yeah.
So here I'm posted. I have a picture up, and Anakin completely forgets that he does not have his lightsaber on his person, and he gave it to Padme. So he's run into a bunch of trouble, and these two bounty hunters, they try to take him out, and they're looking for him. And check this out. Are you seeing this picture here? I would love to make.
Oh yeah, the Betty Bot.
Yeah, the Betty Bot, the BD 3000 luxury droid is what they're called, a luxury droid. And she's startled by the Weequay, Shahan Alma, while they're looking for Anakin. And he basically tells them, you have 2 more floors to check. He tells the Weequay, he does a Jedi mind trick, and he tells them, you have 2 more floors to check. And that's when, and here's that image I was referring to, when he gets in the fight with the assassin just basically bends the gun up because he knows Anakin has a hold of it, and this Jedi probably will take him out if he doesn't do something about it. So he basically forfeits his weapon, right? And then we see Robo Nino, and he jumps out and he shocks Anakin. Why is Anakin always getting shocked? In some way, Anakin's always shocked somehow or getting electrocuted. So
foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, right? Yeah. So we find out that there is a reason Cad Bane is there. There's a reason he's doing this, and this is the jail. And we see this later on down the road, but we find out that Cad Bane had a mission. We don't know necessarily who the mission is for, but he is on a mission to break out Zero the Hutt. And here's Helios 3D. This one actually did have a name, and I'm assuming that they that this is who they modeled for Zero's droid, right? Zero's.
Yeah, that does look like the toy that we got.
Yeah, the markings are right. The kind of the diagonal markings and whatnot. And what I did with mine, I actually differentiated. I can't speak today. Sorry. Differentiated my assassin from the Zero assassin, and I made mine a little bit more blue. So here you have my blue one. I'm guessing it was gray or silver or something, and it was just reflecting off the sky. So I just made mine just slightly more blue. And that little black sun or zero symbol, that is definitely difficult to produce by hand, for sure.
Oh, I could only imagine. The circle's probably easy, and then trying to get every line after that,
yeah.
Hats off to you.
Yeah. So here we have our friend Zero the Hutt, and Cad Bane basically says, "You're going to free Zero, or I'm going to blow up the Senate building." These senators that he has hostage right now. Not only is he going to perform an act of terrorism, he also tells him, he informs them, he's like, I'm going to do this if you don't let him out. So his senators are a little bit more valuable, don't you think? So than some hut lord, so. Still there?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So here's my Zero the Hutt. I had a bunch of images that I've done over time. This is just a repaint, folks. This is a previous picture, once again in the blue. It's from a long time ago. So, do you have yours available?
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
All right,
if you haven't seen any of our previous episodes, we did talk about Zero the Hutt as one of the greatest, I would say, right, Brian?
Yeah. Oh wait, hold on. I thought I was on the Zero page, but I'm actually on the Palpatine page. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Okay. Yeah, here's the Zero. Are you guys seeing this?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh
cool.
yeah.
So here's the Zero. I just used Fix-It to resculpt the face. I took some of the nose off, and then after the face was resculpted in this area, it's just a repaint as well. I did put sculpt some of the rings onto the back for his jewelry, and I did some of the handmade jewelry as well for his bracelet. And I think for the headdress, I used the. You ever see those safety tabs you have to pull off of vitamin bottles?
Right.
I just grabbed 2 of those and I fabricated something from that. But I think I have, there's the picture of Jay's droid completed over here. And then I have some of those battles, all the droids minus the astromech or just Hasbro releases that I just put in the picture. So none of those are customs. The only customs are Wraith 9s, astromech, and then the Zero that I made.
Yeah, I thought it was funny with that new pack that is coming out. That is a great idea for a droid, but no Zero, right? We go back and we go back in time and we're like, wait a second, we have 2 different characters from Hasbro proper that have to do with Zero, yet we have no Zero.
Yeah,
bummer.
And I did make the Zero. I didn't show this in the last time in the other episodes that we did with Zero, but I did put a special black light glowing paint on him, so he will glow under the black light. Cool.
Look how nice that is. Very cool. That is very cool. Appreciate you showing us that.
Yeah, I always forgot to do it all the other time, so I figured now's a better time than any.
Yeah. So here we have Cad Bane feeling good about himself, and they basically succeeded in their mission. So he's just kind of flipping his hat and waving goodbye and saying, hey, we're going to put up some bombs, and if you move, we're going to blow you up. But even though he threatens them, he doesn't say that he's going to, assassinate them on site. You know what I'm saying? He has he has better things to do than to threaten them anymore. So he leaves. Check this out. Another non-Jedi with a lightsaber. I love seeing that type of thing,
Yeah, it is cool.
And Anakin's finally awake again, and she acts like she doesn't know him, and she cuts his binders free. And if you're seeing those lasers in the background here, that's the laser field that would trigger a bomb if they move and everything. So they're like, oh, let's just hang out. And Anakin's like, no, we're not going to do that. So what does he do? He kind of slices through the floor, right?
Yeah, he creates a big circle around the group. So basically that whole group just drops down to the level below them. And in doing so, he saves their life because Cad Bane kind of like decided to get a little thrill and, hey, let's blow him up anyway.
Yeah.
We got Zero, but hey, why not?
Right. I know. It's something, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we have Zero. They finally bust him out, and he's like, the horror. He's acting it out. He's like, it was so terrible in that cell. He hadn't seen the light of day. He's like, the horror, and that's that picture that I have up right now. And basically, Cad Bane's like, well, how would you like some dead senators? And Anakin just knew he needed to do something about it, didn't he? So,
Oh yeah.
so here's what you're referring to just a second ago, and man, it looked like Chuchi just like busted her shoulder or something.
Oh yeah. And that one guy looks like he's getting burned.
Yeah.
By the hot metal.
Yeah.
Getting draped all over.
Right.
He probably needs a new for sure.
Yeah, and that was thick too. That floor that he sliced through, that was pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So here we are at the end of the episode, and he succeeded. And he's like, you know what, Hut? I don't work for free. Somebody's got to pay me. And that's it. That's the episode, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. We wanted to. What's that?
I did want to say I did for like when we were showing the Palpatine before. I just didn't get to show him.
Oh.
And we had shown him in previous episodes, but I learned two really cool things about this actual head sculpt that I had used. So I'm just going to share that real quick before we do wrap up.
Absolutely.
Because yeah. So this is the Palpatine figure. I used the Darth Sidious figure that had come out, and when you take that hood off, you're going to find that there's actually a decent Palpatine head sculpt under there. It is bald, so you are going to have to add hair, and that is what I did to create this. I ended up using the old Revenge of the Sith figure, and I used the neck there is actually from that Darth Sidious. I cut it off the body. I made a mold of it. I made a mold of the head as well, cast them both, and added them to this. The hands are from that vintage Anakin Jedi figure that had come out when he was a youngling. So that's what those hands are from, and the arms are sculpted. But what I did was I dremelled down the arms that were already from the existing figure, and I sculpted on top of them. So that way, when you press down on the figure, it still retains that action figure feature that makes his arms move. Now, the interesting thing I wanted to mention, I have later realized that same head sculpt was used for Jocasta Nu and for Old Daka from the Night Sisters. So I think in the future I'm going to be making both those characters now that I have a finished head sculpt for them. All I have to do is pour the resin into the mold, and I can make those two figures.
Yeah, he's got a great nose, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it was the same character. They used his character model to make Jocasta Nu and Old Daka. So that's something I hadn't realized last time we had one of our episodes. So I figured I'd mention that now to everybody. Great. And I never shared it, did I?
No, you should.
Oh my God! So all this time I thought I was talking to you guys and sharing stuff, and I wasn't sharing anything. No. So all right. So let me go back. This is the figure. This is the head I was talking about. That's the neck I was talking about. Those are the Anakin hands. This is the existing Revenge of the Sith figure. And that head sculpt is the one I was speaking of when I was talking about Old Daka and Jocasta Nu. And I apologize. The whole time I thought I was screen sharing, and I was not.
That's all right. That's all right. We have little technical difficulties every once in a while, don't we?
Yeah, I've been having it this whole episode. I've been having to manually control when it's the camera's on you and when it's on me.
Yeah, the toggle.
Yeah, I've been having to switch back and forth every time. Like when you start talking, I'm like, oh, I got to click it. And this whole episode's been technical difficulties. Actually, I'm just yeah.
Yep, it happens. It happens. Sorry about that, folks. If you just want to bear with us, we're just a couple artists just doing our customs. Episode 14. So 15. We'll talk about that real quick. We would like to get some feedback from you folks. If you could find us wherever we're at on the different places that we post the Customizing the Clone Wars. You can find it on YouTube, our various sites, and give us some feedback of what you might like to see for season 2. If you like the format of our show, if you think there's things that need to change for it, we would love to hear it, or just say, hey, we like it. I was talking to somebody just yesterday, and they were like, I really love your show. And I'm like, wow, you're watching my show. I really appreciate that. And it means the world to us, that we can take the time to just celebrate the Clone Wars over and over again. It's kind of a break from all the madness, right? Isn't it, Brian?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're always going to get flooded with news from everybody. So it's nice to do something a little special and take some time away and say, hey, yeah, this happened a long time ago, but wasn't it great? And this is why it was great. And this is how we celebrate it. And, like Chad said, we really would like to know what you guys think about how you want to see this show progress going forward. If you want like fancy production skills with computerized green screen backgrounds, that may not happen. But
Definitely not.
Yeah, I don't have those skills. I don't think Chad has those skills. If he did, he's been hiding them. But yeah, we definitely want to know how you guys want to see this play out, what you think of what we've done so far. And yeah, I mean, the more feedback, the better, because we're trying to make this as good of a show as it could be. So anything that you could do to make that happen, we'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, and we have a ways to go. I mean, we have basically 5 seasons of the Clone Wars with custom action figures, custom shout outs to different customizers that are not normally on the show. We have all that time and all that stuff. We're going to be starting not in episode 15, but episode 16. We're going to be starting the Rise of the Bounty Hunters. That's season 2, and we'll give you our insights once again. And but next week, if you give us some feedback, and with the feedback that we have, we're going to talk about it on our next, basically our recap episode. Our number 15 will be our recap episode of season 1. We'll kind of celebrate some of the customs that we've done previous that we showed from season 1, and we'll do some tips and tricks, and we'll have a lot of great things for you. So once again, my name is Peak Obi-Wan from Peak Obi-Wan Custom Creations on Facebook. You can also find me on Clone Wars Custom Action Figures. And where can we find you?
Probably the best place to find me is at the Customs for the Kid blog. It's www.customsforthekid.blogspot.com. There you will find links to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Pinterest, Google+, and that's all I can think of for right now. But yeah, all the links are there on the blog itself, and you can get subscriptions or places to follow me and all those other locations I just mentioned. So yeah, thank you for joining us for our last episode covering season 1. And we look forward to doing our recap episode next week, and then jumping into season 2, Rise of the Bounty Hunters.
Awesome. Take care, everyone.
Take care, and may the Force be with you.